Hey there, magic makers. It's been a little while, but it's the first Monday of distance learning. September is so often a time for new beginnings, right? So let's take the spirit of that and let's start thinking about magic on Mondays again and thinking about a week's magic word. So if you've done the 7 magic words challenges with me in the past, you know that our usual form is a word that. Each week, each day for a week rather, you get a series of prompts that offers you a word that understands, a word that reveals, a word that discovers, a word that seeks, a word that cares. And that construction is really powerful. But you know what I'm really noticing now when we do this weekly word thing, we get to look at a whole different other part of language. Because a word that ancestors doesn't really work. So we've never really had a chance to dance with this word ancestors in the way of the Magic Words Collective. So what does it mean to look at a word as if you are a magic maker, as if you're a member of the Magic Words Collective? I don't know. I want you to help me define that. What does it mean for you to say the magic word this week, the word that has a particular pull and power and resonance is ancestors? How does that speak to you? How does that speak through you? How does that inspire you to look at the world a little differently, to look at your own thoughts and patterns, to perhaps consider your own family stories, to consider your own family shame? There's a lot in there. There is magic and gratitude and beauty in the places from which we came. And there's a lot of darkness and hurt there too. The magic is in being able to dance with the light and with the shadow, to know that we are constantly a mixture of the both. So what really got me thinking about the ancestors, I just had a conversation with my writers, the Sovereign Writers Circle, my writing community. We had a writing coaching and story healing call today. And as we always do, we dive deep into the writing process, the creative process, and the soul work that informs who we are as healers, as creative writers, as writers who use our stories to heal. And we were talking about this ancestral work, the ancestral messages that come through. And it's specifically palpable for me because my sister happened to send me a text message asking about what my grandfather did for work when he first came to the States in 1950. And I was able to tell her that when he and my grandmother immigrated from Canada, from New Brunswick in the Maritimes, and moved to Boston, he worked for a newspaper called the Boston Pilot. And it folded shortly after. This, young man with his new wife and his brand new journalism degree that he got right after World War II came to America. And he never did work as a writer again. And in fact, he never particularly had a career that one would put down, on a college application. And in bringing those stories up, it just got me really thinking about the ancestors, about the power of the family that I knew, and of course the family that goes back generation upon generation. And it just so happened that same day, I received Jane Brideson's The Wisdom of the Cailleach, which is an oracle deck that this beautiful Irish writer and artist has put together. And the Cailleach is the wise woman, the old woman of Ireland. She features pretty prominently in my book, The Sovereignty Knot. And her resonance as elder, as the being that embodies the land, the ancient, enduring nature of the land, is so palpable for me right now, especially when we are in the midst of such modern tumult, when we are feeling so overwhelmed by our digital world, but also by, and by our politics and all this stuff that is so 2020, but also by the stuff that's so ancient. A pandemic, an illness that's sweeping around the globe, wildfires that are sweeping across a coast of a continent. These are ancient problems that our ancestors know, that our ancestors had way fewer resources to deal with. So this week, a magic word about ancestors and your relationship to those who came before. What can that help to reveal to you about yourself and where you came from, but also in thinking about, well, these problems that we see as so temporal and so immediate that are actually rooted in the very beginnings of humanity itself, in the very beginnings of the elements that make up this earth. I'm going to pull one quick card for us from Jane Brideson's Wisdom of the Kaliak deck as wisdom from the ancestors, let's say. Wonder what we need. Possibilities. When the elder looks to the stars, when the timeless being inside of you looks into the infinite universe, those stars that are born and do die, but do go on so much longer than any of us can really imagine. What becomes possible? This week, ancestors, find the magic in that word. Share with us what comes through for you. And this week, make magic everywhere. Be magic everywhere. Blessings.